Scream 2022 is directed by... Oh, hell no, I'm not even trying with that. I'm just gonna say the guys who made Ready or Not. And stars Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, all returning to the town of Woodsboro to stop a new Ghostface killer who is on the hunt for people related to the original 4 Scream movies. So, how do I say this without getting a lot of hate? No, there's no way to say it. I don't love any of the Scream movies. If I had to rate them all, I would say that from worst to best, it goes Scream 3, Scream 4, and then in an unpopular opinion, I would honestly say that Scream 2 is better than the original Scream. I just think that a sequel's job is to be bigger than the original without making it necessarily stupid, and I do feel like Scream 2 did that. But on the whole, even though I do rate the original Scream and Scream 2 pretty close to each other, and I do like them, I would honestly give them a score of probably a B. Nothing that I would own on Blu-ray. It's probably because I never saw any of the Scream movies when I was growing up and had only seen them for the first time like a month ago in preparation for this movie, but all things considered, I do appreciate the Scream movies and their legacy, but I don't love them. So seeing the trailers for this movie, I pretty much just rolled my eyes even before having seen any of the other movies, and I was like, really? They're making another Scream movie? Even seeing all of the admittedly really positive reviews for this film, my anticipation was still pretty shaky because, again, I didn't even love the original Scream movie. Why would I love a remake, a rehash, a reboot of some sort? And honestly, this one might be my favorite of all of them. But I still don't love it. It still has all of the problems that even the better Scream movies had in it, and we'll get to those problems later. But overall, I do feel like this is a good update on the Scream formula. And I say this is a good update because, let's face it, we are in a new age of horror, art house horror. We are in an age of Midsommar, Hereditary, The Babadook. Films like those and slashers are sort of in the past for the most part. So this film is allowed to make meta jokes and make fun of those films and make fun of slashers from the past and make comparisons to both styles while still making a true slasher and a true Scream slasher. Another thing that I do feel like was also updated are the scares, the kills, and Ghostface himself. Because we are in a new age of technology, Ghostface isn't just limited to just a knife and a voice recorder. He's allowed to use iPhone technology. He even has an app at one point that he uses to track people. It makes the entire situation scarier because in a sad, demented way, this could theoretically happen because all of the devices that Ghostface uses in this film actually do exist. So yeah, Ghostface, still awesome, still scary, but a killer is only half of the slasher formula. You need to have the bodies for the body count. And the people who make up the body count in this movie, like the friend group and the returning characters, are actually pretty likable. Yeah, all of the actors who make up the new friend group of this movie are actually really good actors and all have some great chemistry with each other. I liked these people. I honestly didn't want to see anything bad happen to them, especially the character played by Jasmine Savoy Brown, who is honestly the funniest character in the entire movie, my favorite character in the entire movie, and she is just one of the many great standouts in this film. And all the returning characters, even though they don't get as much screen time as the advertising hyped it up to be, are still really fun, still really awesome, and I still loved every second we had with them. Courtney Cox fits so well back into the role of Gale Weathers, it's like she never even left. It's always great to see Nev Campbell kick ass in a Scream movie, and David Arquette back as Dewey is still one of the best characters in any Scream movie, and is still, honestly, a big standout. He's probably better in this movie than he's ever been in any other Scream movie. I just loved him. So yeah, I love the characters, I love the scares, I love the killer. So why don't I love this movie? And as a matter of fact, for the most part, the reasons I don't love this movie is the same reason I don't even love some of the other best Scream movies. One of my biggest problems with this movie, along with the rest of the Scream franchise, is the meta writing. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love meta writing when it's done right. When it's done right, it can be extremely clever and extremely funny. Just look at most of the meta stories from Supernatural of all things. But in Scream, the meta nature has always been a bit of a wink wink, nudge nudge too many times. It just feels unnatural. Like no one would actually say the things that these people say, especially whenever they make fun of themselves. Like there are multiple scenes where they predict what's going to happen in the rest of the movie in a meta way when it actually happens that exact way. So I'm honestly just confused whether this is brilliant foreshadowing or really stupid because you're just telling us what's going to happen, and any person familiar with this franchise would know that that's what's going to happen. Also, as much as I like the characters in this movie, and I do feel like the actors have great chemistry with each other, I feel like they suspect each other of being the killer way too often, and they go to way too many extremes to try to prove that whoever they think is the killer in their friend group is actually the killer. It gets to the point, even at the very beginning, when they start to suspect each other right from the get-go, when we're being introduced to these people, you start to wonder, why are they even friends with each other if they're so quick to suspect each other of murder so quickly? And lastly, and I do feel like I'm going to be in the minority on this because even in the other reviews for this movie that I've seen, no one else seems to have this problem, but I do. When everything is revealed and we do find out who the villain is, I hate it. I did not buy it for a second. For one, it gets to the point where at the third act, people do stuff that is so stupid that you're like, wait, why are they doing that? That's so stupid. Why are they? Oh, it's because they're the killer. And then 10 minutes later, it's revealed in some brain-shocking twist that anyone with a brain cell 10 minutes ago could have figured out that, oh yeah, that person's the killer. Because why would anyone do anything that stupid and that out of nowhere? Plus, I didn't buy their motive for a second. I mean, I know they're supposed to be insane and all, but insanity is still supposed to have a motive when it comes to murder. And this doesn't feel like a murder motive. It feels like a reason the writers are giving for this movie existing. It feels like that rather than an actual motive to kill people. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it sometime later down the line in the future and I'll be more forgiving of the villain reveal. Because, again, even though I do have a fair bit of problems, most of the problems with this movie I have with the other Scream films. And this is still, in my opinion, the best one. Again, like with all of the other Scream movies, I feel like this movie's meta nature is more unnatural than it is clever. I feel like the characters, even though I do like them, suspect each other of murder way too often, and I feel like the villain's reveal is very underwhelming and sort of makes relatively no sense. But again, I do still really enjoy this movie. I love all the characters returning and new. I feel like Ghostface is still just as awesome and just as threatening, even more here than he was in any of the other 4 Scream movies preceding this one. And I feel like all of the updates this film has to the usual Scream formula, both technology-wise and horror reference-wise, give this movie an actual reason to exist other than to make money off of the Scream name. Even though, let's face it, that's the number one reason. Again, like the other Scream movies, it's not one that I would necessarily buy on Blu-ray as soon as it was out, but just like the other two best Scream movies, the first two, if it was on TV, I would totally watch it. It's a perfect representation of the entire Scream franchise in that whatever your thoughts on the entire Scream franchise are, is pretty much going to be your thoughts on this movie. For me personally, I think the Scream franchise is good, not great, so I think this movie is good, not great. I'm going to give Scream 2022 a B. Well guys, thank you all so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, which of the Scream movies is your favorite? I feel like the majority is still going to be with the original, but I just want to know if there are any people like me who prefer the direct sequel. But if there's anything we can all agree on, it's that Scream 3 is the worst one. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. Don't forget to click subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.